3rd to the 6th
So it's a 3-day.
in Hyannis.
Yeah.
I'd actually like to.
I was going to nominate Karen.
This is not a nominating opportunity.
It might be, no, it might be good for, if you'd be interested.
I would actually really like to go. Is there anybody else who would like to go? No? Come on.
I looked at it, it's too expensive.
No, we don't
My
have to
parents
pay.
live in the South Shore, so I can just stay with them.
We have, this comes out of our school committee budget.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What do you mean we don't have to pay?
Well, the school, I mean, you have to pay. I mean out of your own pocket. is
We
what I mean.
pay.
Yes. You don't pay the total out of your own pocket.
I'm looking out for Carl's budget.
No, I think there's some value to somebody going, like, I
I
used to
do-
always have somebody.
Maureen
there.
or Steve
I
used to
would love
always
to
go
go.
with David.
Yeah.
And the good thing was, if anything went on down there, they at least brought it back to us. So if you're interested, if you wanna coordinate with
Sure.
Kathy, that'd be great.
We'll beat the early bird deadline.
Yes,
Ooh.
the early bird special.
How do you like that, Carl?
I like it.
Okay, we'll take care of registration.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other further discussion on this issue? Boy, the new superintendent, we get through our agendas fast, huh?
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
That's okay.
Okay, next, school committee subcommittees.
Yes.
Kathy?
Thank you. On page 9, I again inserted the memorandum regarding the school committee subcommittees. And
Yeah, so,
I was very interested in getting together with each of the subcommittees to be brought up to date so that I have an understanding of what's taken place up to this point, and then be able to work with the subcommittees to plan future agendas. So I'm hoping to be able to do that, and I was wondering if the committee had an idea about how to go about doing that, if we just want to set dates. And I know
yeah,
that.
we kind of,
A lot of the
Slacked
subcommittees
off of
did
this
not
the
meet
last-
under Keith. That was,
Okay.
I don't know though, the only one, Youth at Risk. Did Keith schedule that, or was that scheduled by somebody else? I'm trying to, Carl, do you?
Typically, the superintendent would schedule it.
Okay, so I think most of the subcommittees slipped. I think policy met more than any other subcommittee. I know athletic
Athletics.
only met
Not the
once.
last year.
we didn't.
No.
Okay. So, let's set dates then. I've got
Well,
my-
we
I
usually
think
do
we
on the
actually
athletic
called
subcommittee
one
is
meeting, if I
Tuesdays at
recall
1 o'clock.
We called it.
That seemed to work for everybody.
Tuesday at 1, right?
Tuesday at 1, and we try to do that usually like once a month, or
Yeah.
once every 6 weeks.
The other thing Kathy had mentioned when I got together with her, and I think it's something I wanted to throw out, and she can expand on it if she wants. I was talking to her about how the subcommittees ran, and that basically David served as pretty much chairman of all the, had the agenda ready for the subcommittees,
Yeah.
and we were talking about maybe a school committee member on that, because remember the one meeting we had with Keith with that, oh no, you weren't there, with Keith Athletic Subcommittee. I sat down and Keith said to me, okay, Mel, you all set? And I said, yes, and he said, okay, let her rip. And I was like, I didn't have an agenda, I didn't have anything, but he just assumed that I was
Yeah.
the chairman of the, so I made up 3 things.
Well,
and we.
with David too, we had a lot of topics on there that we
Right.
could pick out what we
Right.
really wanted to talk about as well.
But I'm wondering if, in some cases, one of the school committee members takes a little more active role on in working with the superintendent, especially get Kathy up to speed on some of these things. So, but I think if we just try to set, we did have Tuesdays at 1.
Tuesdays at 1 seem to work.
For
For the athletic.
for athletic subcommittee. My calendar here.
Is that every Tuesday?
No,
No,
you
no,
mean
no.
like every 2 months, maybe?
Every 6 weeks,
Every
every
6
8
weeks?
weeks, yeah. And the last few months when David was here, it was really productive because of the turf field
Right.
project, and we really made a lot of progress on that, so that was.
And there is one standing issue related to the turf field, which is the signage and advertising issue, which we had said we committed that to the athletic subcommittee. So, any Tuesday, we want to wait till the end of the month,
Yeah, at the end of July.
end of July?
Yeah.
Say that, how's the 27th look for you, for athletic subcommittee?
Fine.
27.
And then we have other members. I'm not sure who officially is a member now.
Well, the principal, the athletic director.
Right, I know, but is John Norton still a member?
Yeah, I think we
From the
should.
Boosters?
We could include him in as a representative. of the
Rita, we
Boosters.
had involved?
Yeah. Parks and Rec was Rita Mullen.
Right, so it was Rita Mullen, John Norton, is he still with the Athletic Boosters, John?
I think he is.
And then John Bernard, Dave Johnson,
Johnson.
Carl.
More is Ed.
Right.
as needed, basically.
Right, if it's, we're talking about financial issues, so Carl was actively involved in a lot of the turf field project, and then Jerry and me. So, and I'm sure Ann can help you get the invitations out to all of those folks. So, so we'll do athletic subcommittee, 7/27 at 1 o'clock. Do any of the other ones have standing? Did,
Yeah, youth at risk typically, I think, meets about every 6 weeks, although I've only been to 2 meetings.
right,
They were called by others, and I think we made a commitment of a date in the future, but we didn't make one the last time. It was basically off over the
I
summer.
think those were often in the morning, weren't they?
They're
Youth at risk?
9 o'clock in the
9
morning.
o'clock in the morning, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so there would be record of membership on youth at risk in
Right,
the
there's,
superintendent's office.
there's a police officer, a person from guidance, Jenny O'Leary.
Is the school nurse on there? Is there a school nurse?
Not,
No?
Okay.
not the meetings I've been in.
Mhm.
I don't know who else.
And the policy subcommittee? Is that
Policy
what-
subcommittee is Mike and I, and we have yet to meet
That was more of a.
ad hoc.
Right, but there are two issues with the
As
policy.
needed.
Back about 3 years or so ago, it was more of a, we did a lot more of reviewing and revising old policies because many of them become out of date and they have to change. We kind of stopped that, I'd say about 3 years ago. And I think that's something that's not something I think you should jump into right away, but I think it's something we have to start thinking about doing again, making sure that our policies are up to date. One time we went through them and fixed them all because of, typos and language and grammar and things like that, but we also have gone through, David would, each year he'd pick out a section or two and say, we're gonna review this section, and we're gonna go over that and make sure it's up to speed. But as Cliff said, usually it's, we need to do a policy on bullying, we need to do a policy on X, and then a meeting is scheduled.
We've had 2 or 3 or 4 of those over the last 2 or 3
Yeah,
years.
that have come up and been
Right,
Have come up
priorities.
as a priority
Yeah.
issue. We've batted it around the committee, usually either one or the other member, school committee member would do some work on it, do some investigation of what other people have done on it, and bring that to a meeting. Those meetings have been held morning, noon, night,
Right.
variety, pack, depending on
Availability.
schedules
Yeah, right.
and availability.
Mhm.
So, that one, I don't know what Triton did in terms of, if they had a systematic review of policies and changes, but I think that's something we probably need to get back into.
That would make some sense.
Yeah.
The policy subcommittee would take the entire document
Well-
and systematically go through and review
We
it.
did that probably 5
It
years.
took a long
It
time,
did.
Right.
multiple years.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun, but it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's very invigorating.
Yeah. Well, now that we have it on CD though, you don't have to carry around that, that book, but. So that one, I don't know if we have to schedule a regular meeting on that, or, it's up
Well,
to you.
if we're going to, I would personally prefer that we set our meetings with the whole committee first, and then, because I'm in a vacation.
Oh, right, okay. So if you wanna leave that one, yeah, put that one on hold for now.
On hold.
Right.
Input coordinator.
Okay,
In the finance planning team, those are meetings that are scheduled by Bob Mosseri.
yes.
Financial advisory committee, Mike, that's yours.
We're meeting every 2 weeks.
Have you gotten sworn in?
I don't need to get sworn.
You don't?
What
Okay.
I was told.
Okay, because
That's
when
why
I
I'm
was,
sure it's an
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I was sworn in for that.
Yeah, I was
so
sworn in too.
Okay, I guess,
Go ask Barbara.
Did
She-
you
she
talk to
was-
Barbara Stats, the town clerk?
I haven't, but there was a huge discussion about it.
Oh, really?
Last meeting. and
Okay.
then there was some
So maybe they've
terminology
changed.
brought from the town.
Oh, okay.
That they brought in some paperwork.
Yeah, because I was sworn in,
Yeah,
you
I'm not
were sworn in
surprised
too, I
at
think,
that.
yeah.
I think you were probably sworn in by distinction in that.
Right, okay.
That was told.
But
Exciting.
that's an important committee for us
Yeah.
to be involved in, because they do talk about a lot of issues related to spending throughout the town, but it's school spending. And in fact, there was a document used at our last financial planning team meeting that came from that group. It was compared all the different contracts of the town unions and town employee groups. So you're all set with that then?
I'm all set, we're on board.
Okay.
Meeting every 2 weeks.
I don't know if you wanted to bring this up tonight, but we had discussed a possibility of, you wanted to throw out some ideas for at least one other subcommittee. I don't know if there's more than one. I think that
Sure.
was-
When Mel and I met, I was asking about what are the various subcommittees of the school committee. And we had talked about what my experience had been in Triton when I was there, and there was a communications subcommittee that was a subcommittee of the school committee. There was also a superintendent/school committee evaluation subcommittee. And then there was a warrant subcommittee, and the individuals on the warrant subcommittee were the individuals that were responsible for signing the bills and payroll. So we just chatted about what those subcommittees did and whether or not that was something that we wanted to consider here in North Reading. And Mel had indicated an interest in, I think it was communication.
Yeah. And I think the other thing was, I think the superintendent school committee evaluation subcommittee is very important, because I'll use the phrase, we got pretty loosey-goosey around here, in that we didn't have a formal evaluation of David per se. We had the annual goals that we'd sit here and he'd go over all of them, and then Jerry and I would figure out who got a better grade, the school committee or David. But we did not have a formal evaluation, and I don't know if we ever did. You've been around the longest.
In 11 years, we didn't have anything other than the goals, which we used to make a determination as to how far he had gone in achieving his goals.
Now, your contract, does it stipulate a formal evaluation, Kathy?
It indicates that we will work together to develop a tool to use for evaluation purposes.
Okay. Now that, I mean, I'm not saying it will be, but that could be the goals, the way we use with David, or it could be something different.
Right.
So I thought that made sense to have a subcommittee that met with Kathy, because the other issue we've talked about a lot is how the goals for the school committee, there's hundreds of them, and some of them have been on the list since I've been on the committee, and they're always checked with either in progress or, not incomplete or
Well,
whatever.
I think realistically, we have to look at that whole thing. And
Right.
And you made the recommendation last year, we narrow it down, and we did.
And we did, but I still think we could narrow that more.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to have a subcommittee to work with Kathy on that.
May I make a counter suggestion of having just an evaluation committee that deals with how we assess our goals? Because it's one thing of setting goals and priorities, it's another to assess whether you've reached them, and then to create a plan that would transition over time. So not only evaluating the superintendent, but our own performance.
Yeah, I think that should
Is
be
a
part of it.
big issue for me.
If we didn't have any goals at all, anything we did would be a bonus. I mean, at the end of the year.
That's true.
I
That-
would also like to make the stipulation that Mr. Venezia serve on that committee.
So I think an evaluation subcommittee does make sense, and I also strongly support a communications subcommittee. And I don't know if there has to be more than two of us. I would like to be on the communications subcommittee if anybody else is interested in joining that. And then I'm assuming you'd be interested in the evaluation since you spoke about it. So, don't everybody jump out of their chairs, but.
I have very few committee assignments, so I'd be happy to take on something else, or two.
Well, except for summer, I have nothing else to do. So,
Besides getting your boat in and out of the water, that's
Right.
really.
that's the whole thing.
Right, spring in,
I've been
fall
through 40
out.
gallons of gas already this year.
Mike, do you have any?
I'd be happy to serve on both of those.
It's fine.
Well, what they do, I know.
Unless you wanna,
No, I mean,
That's fine.
I'll help out if,
okay. So Cliff and I on communication and Cliff and Karen on evaluation.
Do we need to take a vote to establish the
I think we do
committees?
actually,
I think
yes.
we
Okay.
So,
Can I make a motion then to establish the school committee's subcommittee on communication?
A second.
probably do. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then, do we have to have someone nominate the members?
I think we'd have to do it the same way we
Right.
do